Say it ugly. Say it scared, but say it anyway. Clarity might not even be pretty at first. It may not feel clear at all, but you still have to say it anyhow. You still need to begin to speak in order to make any kind of impact and to get yourself clearer and clearer. Let's talk about that today. Hi, my name is Steve Kidd. I'm a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 39 books and counting. I help folks, I have helped people, nearly 5,000 in fact, write, publish, market their books to bestseller, and everything that goes beyond that. But what I really do, what I'm really known for, is being the architect of your visibility, to help you find that powerful clarity that allows you to make the impact in this world that only you can make. There is never been, nor will there ever be, another you. We need you. The world needs you. We need you to speak up, to speak out, to do the things that only you can do, because we need you. We need you to show up, to be you, to make an impact, to change the world. Are you ready to do that? Are you ready? I know you're scared. I get that. And I know you can hear me typing in the background here as I invite a few people that are on my crew and stuff, if they've got time, to come and join us. But, I'm just here for you. And I just want to see you make that difference that you were born to make, that you know you can make, that I know you will make, as soon as you make the choice to begin to start speaking. You see, and it's even true, and it was frustrating to me, okay? Yesterday, some of you saw the end of my live, and it was frustrating because I got interrupted and I totally lost my train of thought. And, ChatGPT, who tends to shine you on a little bit anyway, told me how powerful it was and all that, but I did not feel strong and powerful. But you see, that's the thing about clarity, and that's the thing about showing up to serve others, is it isn't always pretty, especially not at first. When you're learning how to sing a note, when you're learning how to dance a dance, when you're learning how to perform on stage, when you're learning your ABCs, when you're learning to walk, when you name it, anything that you're learning, it starts off rocky, shaky, sometimes even a little funny, and not pretty. Think of the little baby who has been watching people walk around for days, weeks, months, and all of a sudden they're able to prop themselves up, and they're hanging on, kind of desperate. You remember that? Some of you have babies right now, and some of you remember what that looks like, and they're there. And then they get that idea in their mind that they too could move across that floor like they see mommy do all the time. And they let go of the couch and they plop on their little bottom. And we're kind of glad that they're wearing diapers. And we hope that they're really thick, padded, cushiony diapers at that particular point, because, they fall on their little bottoms. And they stand back up. And they hold on to the couch. And, for a while they just hold on to things and they don't do it again. And maybe they really love being in their little bouncy, the little bouncy tray thingy. Did your kids have those? Or do they now? I love those things. You can just plop them in there and they just kind of tootle around the whole house, and they're just totally mobile. Even though they can't really walk, they can motivate around the house. Throw a few Cheerios in there and some cartoons on the TV, and they are set for life, right? Okay. But eventually they want more than just, the little scooty thing, whatever it's called. It'll come to me like at 2:00 tomorrow morning. They want more than that. They want to be able to move like the big kids are doing, like mommy and daddy are doing. And so they prop themselves up on the side of that couch or the side of the chair, or grabbing a hold of your leg. And then they try it again. And much like we talked about, last week about the baby bird, or was that 2 weeks ago now? Whatever, and it falling over and over and over again until it learned to spread its wings. Little babies learning how to walk do the same thing. They fall, they step out and they fall. They step out and they fall, but they don't stop. And eventually they figure out, and really, usually, typically speaking, first steps are kind of more like first dashes. They make a mad dash from the edge of the chair to the edge of the ottoman, which is really only about 2 steps, even for their little tiny baby legs, right? But they do it. And that's amazingly cool, right? And we hope that we have it on video and we're all excited and we cheer for them and all that kind of stuff. You see, we in our own lives get all stuck up in our head. The little baby doesn't have enough world experiences to have that, whatever you want to call it, negative Nancy, whatever, that trash in their head that's telling them, oh, last time you did that, you fell. You probably better not try that again. I mean, if we had that in our own heads, we would never move anywhere, right? We would stand up to once, try, fall on our bottoms, and we'd just be, in the little bouncy chair forever. We'd just be like, okay, you're just going to carry me. And we'd have 18-year-olds rocking around. Well, and the worst of it is, I was going to say 18-year-olds being carried around by their moms, but if that was the case, their moms also wouldn't be doing that. And so, we'd have a whole array of people that were all just wheeling around in wheelchairs, I guess, or, some kind of scooters of some sort. And don't get me started. I mean, I think the scooters are cool, especially when you're like at Disneyland or something like that. Absolutely. If you've never rented a scooter at Disneyland, do it. It's totally worth it. You have your own seating space anytime, anywhere you go. You can zip through the crowds. You can be like the little blue-haired ladies and run people down. Another great place to have one, actually, when I mentioned blue-haired ladies, is at the casinos. But we would all be like that, right? But the little babies, they don't have that negative experience. They have that terror of falling, like we were talking about the baby birds falling and just being like, okay, this is the end. But they don't remember it. It's kind of like your dog, and I'm not dissing your children saying they're like your dog, but they say that a dog, has somewhere between like a 3 and 5 year old's mentality, meaning that when your dog does something, 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 years later, they're not living in the space of, oh, I did this and such happened. They're just happy and in the moment. Babies are the same way. They're there and they get that bold, I'm going to take a step just like I saw mommy do, and they go, and they dash across, and like you said, it's really a run. I've always said, and I'll say this to this day, and if she was on, I'd say it to her face, because she's heard me say it before. My oldest natural birth daughter, Amber, I have one older that's mine by adoption, that's Emily. I swear to you, Amber did not walk for the first 2 years of her life. She ran everywhere. She got up. She made that first daring mad dash from point A to point B and ran everywhere for the next 2 years. Had to learn how to walk much, much later than that, because once she got up on her feet, she was just zoom gone. And that's the same way clarity is. It's not pretty. We fall on our butt. We're not polished. We're not perfect. Somebody comes in and we're completely blown out. We have no ability. We just hit the off button. We're just, we just give up. And often when obstacles come in the way, when we fall on our butt, when we say the wrong words, when we stutter our speech, when we make up new words, when we do things that have become now the drinking game for watching Steve, right? We just, instead of pressing forward, instead of laughing it off and going through with it, we give up. We did it once. And that's what many of you are running into as a problem, is you tried it once and you failed miserably. Maybe maybe it was yesterday, but maybe it was way back in elementary school. Maybe you had a stutter. Maybe you didn't know how to pronounce a word and they had you reading out of a book and you couldn't figure out what the word was. I don't know why this sticks in my brain. Don't ask me why, okay? And it probably says something about me not being as nice of a person as I want to deem myself to be. But I remember in about third-ish grade, give or take, okay? I might have been fourth, but right in that general area. I remember a kid we were in church, Sunday school, something like that, and he was reading, the passage, verily, verily, I say unto you. For those of you that have never read Old Testament, don't worry about that, okay? I mean, it doesn't matter that it's a Bible verse, all right? But he was like, verily, verily, and he's like, oh, verily, verily, I mean, he got it, and I'm not. It probably sounds like I'm being that mean kid and picking on him, and I don't intend to do that, even though I'm sure at the time I laughed, but it's that kind of thing, we say it and we stutter over it, and other people in the room laugh at us because we don't know how to pronounce the word, but then it clicks in our mind. Then all of a sudden we're like, I know the word verily. I actually do know what supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, where that comes from. I mean, and that's the whole point Mary Poppins was getting at. If you say it loud enough, you'll always sound atrocious. You'll never sound atrocious. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, right? And that's where our clarity, and that's why our speaking happens. We stumble, we fall, we get down, then we get back up, and we make the mad dash from point A to point B. That's why I keep telling you, pick up your phone, okay, and just simply say, hi, my name is, and what I'd love to talk to you about today. I mean, yeah, tell them this is what I do. But if you don't know what you do, just tell them, hey, this is what I'd like to talk to you about today. It was 100 degrees yesterday and it's 80 today. It feels wonderful. You would think we're in a minor ice age today compared to yesterday, because it's like, 20, it's actually 79. And it was actually 102, so that's like 23-degree difference from day one, from one day to the next. You can turn off, you can hear the air conditioner's off, the fan is off. I'm not sweating like I have been when the air conditioner's off and the fan is off. And they both have been off for the last half an hour or so as I've been prepping things for this. And, we just show up today and we could totally talk about that. How much better does it feel? How much easier was it to take my walk today? I mean, actually, if I wanted to go down that road with you and just give you an example, okay. So for whatever reason, and don't ask me why, all right? Because I'm doing good on my walks and I'm doing 2 a day every day now. And I'm almost to 4,000 steps. I'm at about 3,600 every day now. I saw a statistic that said that I need to get to the point where I'm at about 7,000, because 7,000 reduces your chance of dementia by like 54% and your chance of heart disease by like 48. I mean, it was just amazing, all the statistics that they had in it. But for whatever reason today, you'll get there. I believe in you. For whatever reason, got up, took a shower, got ready. And yes, I did do my walk, and I did do pretty much probably half a block less than what I would normally do in the mornings. But I was worn. I was exhausted the whole entire time. Why was I wobbly and weak then? I don't know. Why am I more worn out today? I was in the bed. Sleep being what it was, I was in the bed for enough time tonight. I was able to take a shower, which should be refreshing. All of those kind of things. And like you said, then it was in the mid 70s. Beautiful, beautiful day to go for a walk. Light breeze, 75 degrees. A little bit mildly overcast, so it wasn't really, like super beat down on you sunny. And I was struggling with it. You see what I did there? Okay, and right now, your clarity is going to come from you just sharing whatever. Talk about the weather. I told you about my buddy Matt, that, all of his first lives were just weather forecasts, at the time. And he doesn't live there anymore either. But, both of us lived in Southern California. And, it doesn't rain very often in Southern California. It's a desert. For those of you that didn't know that, for those of you that dream of living in Southern California, you should also know it's a desert, okay? And it's hot. And you're going to want to have air conditioning, all right? And so when it would rain, he would do like weather forecasts. Look, it's raining. I'm out in the rain here in, San Diego, and those kind of kooky, crazy things, whatever it might be. Maybe you have something you're really super passionate about. Well, not maybe. You do have. You may not know it. You may be so passionate about it that you go off about that particular thing, and you don't even realize that you are. Now, if you have teenagers, you may realize that you are, because every time you say that thing, they roll their eyes at you and they're like, oh, there goes mom again, right? But you've got something you're passionate about when that particular thing comes up. And maybe it's some politician, maybe it's a math problem, maybe it's some geeky spreadsheet thing, maybe it's, a WordPress website, maybe it's, crafting, maybe it's, why don't people learn how to swim when they're children? I actually did this interview with somebody. It was really a lot of fun because, I learned how to swim in aqua tots. I was basically learning how to swim before I really totally knew how to walk. Okay. I've been in the pool my whole life. And, so the concept of having a class for adults who made it into adulthood and did not know how to swim blew my mind. And that's what this whole person's business is based on, is education for adults who now need to learn how to swim. And and we both, the lady that teaches it, she's like, yeah, I know. I started swimming when I was about 4 or 5 years old too, it just blows my mind. It's like, how does somebody not know how to swim when they're like 2 or 3 years old, let alone 4 or 5? How do you make it to 18 or 20 and not have, swam to the moon and back in the pool, splashed around and played Marco Polo? How can you be afraid of water? And yet, I know from experience, just watching my kids, my oldest son, terrified of water. My youngest son was a little fish. In fact, his saying was, I like to swim in the middle. But then when they came, at that time, I was a single parent. My mom was taking care of the kids during the day when I was at work for me. And she did a lot of really cool things for them that they would have never gotten to experience without mom being there. She was totally their taxi, and they took massive advantage of her too. Okay. All right, guys, I see you. I get it. And if I had been in your shoes, I would have done exactly the same thing. So no judgment, no shade whatsoever. But when she took them and started them into swimming lessons, Michael, my oldest, at first, he wouldn't let go of the edge of the pool. He was, clamped on, leaving scratch marks if you tried to pull him away from the edge of the pool. Whereas Alex was just busy swimming in the middle, wiggling like a little worm in the middle of the water. As they began to take lessons, Michael actually ended up in a place where, from a technical swimming standpoint, he ended up as a better technical swimmer than Alex was. And now I'm talking about, Alex was, 6 or 7, and Michael would have been 8 or 9. So, we're not talking about, I have no idea where their swimming skills are now. I don't know if they ever swim anymore, because they're adults now, and so they can do whatever they want to do. But it's not where you start. You may be Michael, clinging to the side of the pool and not willing, not even really wanting to get in the water. Maybe you'll go on that, that handrail stairs that public pools have, that I don't know why, we don't have more of those in all of our pools. I love them, where you got the little gradual steps that are, just wonderful, versus the little tiny, ladder kind of thing. Anyway, totally had nothing to do with what I'm saying. But, you may be I'll step down onto the first step. It's about as deep as a little kiddie pool, and that's as far as I want to go. And then I'll just sit down right here on the step. That's it. That's me. I went swimming. Yay me. Okay. Or you may be Alex and you may be like, yeah, I'm going to go in the deep end in 10 foot of water. And even though I don't know how to swim and it looks like I'm flailing like a fish, 5 feet under the water, I never drowned. You'd wonder if I have gills. That may be where you're starting. It's not where you start. It's that you start. Until you dip your toes in the water, you're not wet. And if the water needs you now, and this is where we move on to, the really big step. And that's, what if the water really needs you? What if your confession, your valuableness, I'm always telling you, be visible and valuable, right? What if your vulnerability creates valuability? I don't know if valuability is a word or not, but it works in that case. What if you being willing to say, hey, I blew it? Just like I did at the beginning of this thing. My brother came in the room because I left my phone in the other room. Whatever reason, brought me the phone. Okay. Over and done with, but you can tell it still messes with me a little bit, and it bothered me more than I hope it showed. But it's throwing me off. It's still throwing me off now from yesterday, and it totally, ChatGPT was doing the evaluation. They're like, you need a tighter, more concise call to action at the end of your thing. And I'm like, yeah, I would have if I hadn't been completely blown out and didn't have any idea. But you see, me telling you that, me being vulnerable enough to go, hey, I've been speaking in front of people since I was 5 years old. Probably younger than that because I'm a pastor's kid, so it was probably more like 3. But, my whole life is what I'm saying. Up in front, talking. I was a sales manager at 19. I've done sales trainings. I've been up in front of audiences all the way from, one-on-ones to, tens of thousands, literally. And there are still times when I get all up in my head and I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I say? How crazy was that? Patricia, who's on and listening today, would be the first one to tell you, there's been a few times I'm like, how bad was that? What kind of verbiage is that even? I love how Dr. Noah St. John puts it in his book, Afformations. Great book. If you haven't read it, you really totally need to. Because he talks about how our brain is a massive computer. It's designed to solve problems. And when we ask our brain a question, it wants to come up with the answer for it. And so if we ask our brain a negative question, why am I so? Now, I try really hard to not finish those because I don't want to engage my brain that direction. But when we do it, our brain's like, all right, well, here, give me all the reasons why. It's like earlier when I was talking about why was it so much harder to walk this morning? And then my brain all morning since then, because I did say that one out, and I just said it again. I shouldn't have, but I did. Has been trying to figure out, are you sick? Is there something going on? Do you have this? Yeah. And you just kind of, are searching for an answer rather than living in a solution. You've used that for years and you couldn't remember which book. Yeah, that's Afformations by Dr. Noah St. John. Great, great book. And Dr. Noah has about, 27 or 30 books now. I know because when I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the fact that I finally passed him. Because last time I had interviewed him, I was at about 24 when he was just launching his 25th book. So yay me. See what I'm saying? Clarity just comes from you just being you. And somebody comes on your live, if they are, and if they're not, that's fine too. Because right now, the biggest thing about you being clear is you got to be there. You got to dip your foot in the water. The only way you're going to learn how to swim in the clarity pool, the only way you're going to be the visible world changer that you absolutely are, is to get visible. And the way you're going to get visible is to Pick up the phone, say, hi, my name is, what I'd like to talk to you about today is, boom, just do it. Just start talking. I don't care whether you talk about what color exactly is this wall, because it's not really a white, it's kind of not a beige, and it's kind of a, okay, viscerable. Yeah, viscerable. That's a new word that we just made up there. You can keep it and use it now. Um, you know, I mean, you can talk about, hey, when you do your lives, how many lights do you have on? You can talk about the microphone. It's like, what kind of microphone do you use? What's your favorite kind of microphone? I mean, you could have a whole talk. I was actually thinking through this one yesterday about what is it like when you have a really nice set of headphones and then they break, like they do, or the batteries run out or whatever. And then you are listening to the same stuff, but with a not so great set of headphones. How tinny and awful does it sound? And how much do you just want to pull your hair out? And you wish that you could just magically somehow fix the headphones that no longer work, right? I know you know what that's like. You get what I'm talking about. Makes me think today that I want to get a new set of headphones. I'm not going to waste my time doing that today, but I was thinking about that because of the nature of the set of headphones I'm working with right now. I mean, it doesn't really matter right now because we're practicing. And when you practice, and what you're really practicing is showing up. You see, connection is your heart. We've talked a lot about that. Consistency is about showing up. It's about just doing it. That's why you need to drop the word clarity. It's because I can help you find ways to get clear. I can read the label on the outside of your jar and tell you, oh yeah, this jar says that you are dill pickles. I didn't know I was dill pickles. I thought I was ickles. Don't ask me how to spell or say dill pickles backwards. Okay? But it looks all crazy from inside of that. And you got green water in there because you're a dill pickle and you turned all the water green. And you can't read the label at all. And that's what I come in to do, is to help you to read that label and be like, hey, yeah, you're dill pickles. And dill pickles with the right kind of foods is just the absolute thing that the people who want a dill pickle want. But you're trying to read the jar on the label on the outside of the jar you're in, the label on the outside of the jar that you're in. You're trying to learn how I'm using the English language in an organized fashion to say sentences that make sense, right? I've got you. I can help you with that. And then we can show you that, how to then use that little thing. That's why I'm always telling you, okay, this is what we're going to do today. We're going to pick up the phone. Doesn't matter whether it's 5 seconds or 5 hours. Hi, my name is. What I do is, and what I'd like to talk to you about today is. Then talk to them about whatever. You're going to get clearer and clearer on what the whatever is. We're going to work together and we're going to help you even find more clarity. You want to make an impact. And in order to make the impact, you have to be where you can impact people, which means visibility. You want to be valuable. You have to be visible. And if you really want to be valuable, you've got to be vulnerable. Because visibility is a muscle. It's something you practice, you do. Now, yes, my friend Kevin's statement is absolutely right. Practice doesn't make perfect. Doing it perfect makes you, or doing it right makes you learn how to do it perfect. That's absolutely true. But not doing it at all makes nothing. If you lift weights wrong, and I'm not suggesting you do that, but if you lift weights wrong, you will have an impact. You'll burn calories, you will build muscle. Now, if you do too much weight the wrong way, you're going to injure yourself. And that's why we need coaches, is to help us learn how to be able to do the reps right. That's what I'm here for, is to teach you how to do the consistent connection the right way, to be valuable and vulnerable, to be visible and impactful. You showed up, you talked about what you do clearly, and then you invited them to run a workshop. Yeah, that's awesome. Way to go. I love it. You got to do the thing. You got to show up, because there's one day that I can absolutely promise you you're going to live through. Well, you're going to be alive in. Let me put it that way, because I can't promise you what's going to happen between now and midnight. But I can absolutely promise you you were invited to run the workshop. That's awesome. I can absolutely promise you you are alive right now. You know, I know that because if you're dead, you would not be listening to this. Isn't that brilliant of me? It's like I have a biology degree or something, being able to know the difference between dead and alive. Seriously, though, that's why you've got to show up right now. And maybe, like Patricia, maybe you'll show up, talk about what you do, and you'll get invited to run a workshop. And maybe you'll show up and you'll fumble totally over your thing, and you'll be like, "Hi, I'm and I do and I you know." But what you can do from that is feel that sense of, "Hey, I did it. I showed up." And the more and more and more and more and more you show up, the better you're going to get at it. And I'm here to help you. I can help you find that clarity. I can help you create a consistent schedule so that every single day, and I'm going to be here every day nagging you, yes, nagging you, to go live again today. And you've got the heart. You wouldn't be here. You'd have come in for a second and popped off just immediately, because our energies would not have connected with one another. Even the snarky title that I did would have turned you off instead of made you interested in what I'm saying. And that's totally okay. But you're here, and you're valuable, and the world needs you. And I'm so proud of you. Today is the day. So what are you going to do? You're going to drop the word clarity, because you need to get your clarity so that you can show up and be visible right now. I encourage you to do it. I honor you for doing it. I'm amazed by all that you do. And thank you for doing it, because the world needs you. So do it right now today. Show up ugly. Say it terrified. Not even just scared, but terrified. Shaking in your boots, voice quaking, all of that. But say it. Talk today. Do it right now. Don't let today slip without singing your song. Yeah, I'm going to use a Bible verse on you. The Bible says if we don't praise him, the rocks will cry out. I absolutely promise you, you can sing better than a clashing, clanging, clacking rock. Sing your song. Say your words. Do your thing. Show up as you. Do it today. We're going to be back again tomorrow. We're going to be continuing to talk about your clarity, about you showing up, and about how amazingly cool and powerful you are. And I am here to help you get clear. I invite you to join us in Visibility Amplifier community. VisibilityAmplifier.com will get you there. Yeah, show up sick as heck. I love that it ended up being one of your best ones. I wonder sometimes if some of my best lives aren't the ones where I have absolute total sneezing fits through the whole thing. If nothing else, it lets you know, A, I'm real, and B, all the things that you're dealing with when you do your lives, those are okay too. Come join us. Let's get clear. Drop the word clarity. Join us in VisibilityAmplifier.com. Not invisibility, but VisibilityAmplifier.com. Join us in that group. And let's get you out there, scared, shaking, but saying it anyway. Thanks for doing it. We'll be back again tomorrow. Until we're together again next time, I hope you have a great week.